The Galactic Council banned humans from all wars, terrified of humanity's bloodlust. But now only human tenacity and valor stand between innocent millions and a ruthless alien scourge. Arcturian Commander Vega delivered grim news to Justin Cox, a battle-hardened human soldier itching for action against the warlike Zorgans. The Council forbids humans in this conflict. Your kind are barred from galactic wars. That's absurd. Justin slammed a fist on the wall, face reddening in outrage. We've every right to defend our allies. Humans spilled blood defeating the Krovax, and this is how those ungrateful council bastards repay us. 50 years ago, human forces turned the Krovax invasion into a rout. The council fears your combat prowess, your ruthless tactics. They say unchecked humans could disrupt the balance of power. Vega's face was stony. The decision is final. Break galactic law and humanity faces dire consequences. Severe sanctions. Justin cursed, storming away in disgust. Then an urgent message chimed on Vega's holo display. The Arcturian paled in horror. A massive Zorgan fleet had just ambushed and devastated the main Arcturian defenses near New Terra, the human frontier colony. The Arcturians were outmatched and outgunned. Millions of defenseless humans faced imminent invasion and slaughter. Reinforcements were days away. Vega knew only the human forces garrisoned on New Terra could hold out against the Zorgon onslaught, but Arcturian High Command would never request aid. Not with the Council's ban. Vega had a gut-wrenching choice. Let the human colony fall or defy the edict and plead for human intervention. Unbeknownst to Vega, an enraged Justin was already rallying New Terra's troops. Honor and duty compelled him to make a desperate stand, to safeguard the innocent through sheer grit and tenacity. As the Zorgan invasion begins and doom looms, Justin and his ragtag human squadron prepare for a ferocious fight. They'll single-handedly repel the alien assault. They'll remind the smug council why humanity's martial spirit is feared and respected, why it should never be leashed. The grim and stark revelation was clear as the Zorgan warships ominously filled the skies over New Terra. Ban humans from war at your own peril. When all seems lost, it's human courage, ingenuity, and sheer indomitable will that will carry the day. The sky above New Terra blazed with weapons fire as the ragtag human squadron engaged the Zorgon invaders. Justin gritted his teeth, hands clenched on the weapons controls of his battered fighter. His blood sang with adrenaline and a savage joy. This was what he lived for. Around him, the human ships bobbed and weaved, luring the cumbersome Zorgon craft into elaborate traps. Bravo, squad, tighten formation, and prepare for another run on the Zorgan cruiser's engines, Justin barked into his comm. The humans couldn't match the aliens' firepower, but they damn well knew how to improvise. On the ground, guerrilla platoons staged daring hit-and-run attacks on Zorgan supply depots, fading back into the rubble before the aliens could mount a response. In the chaos, Justin led a series of raids to seize critical Zorgan intelligence, patrol routes, communication codes, tactical plans, anything to give humanity an edge. But the Zorgons kept coming, an inexorable tide of destruction. Commander Krax's patience frayed as his vanguard crumpled against Justin's asymmetric warfare. The humans were a thorn in his side. It was time to rip it out. Krax snarled orders for a devastating orbital bombardment to crater the humans' defenses. As fire rained from the heavens, Justin received an encrypted message from an unexpected source. Arcturian Commander Vega. Impressive work, Cox. I'd be remiss not to acknowledge your tenacity. Sending you some tactical data and supply drops to keep you in the fight. Make them count. Justin allowed himself a tight smile as Vega's information flooded his HUD. Seems not everyone on the council was content to watch humanity burn. With this intel, he could press their advantage. Justin gathered his best and boldest for a high-stakes mission. They would board Krax's flagship and cut the head off the Zorgon command. A few exchanged uneasy glances at the prospect. It was practically a suicide run. But Justin's steely persistence galvanized them. They would follow him into the abyss. In a lightning assault, Justin's strike team breached the flagship's defenses and surged onto the bridge. Krax roared in fury, rallying his honor guard. The close-quarters battle was brutal and bloody, a whirlwind of flashing blades and point-blank shots. One by one, Justin's squad fell, but not before Krax's guards lay broken at their feet. Justin charged the Zorgon commander, screaming his defiance. This ended now. Locked in mortal combat, human and Zorgon clashed, each driven by overriding purpose. Justin fought with skill and wile, Krax with sheer ferocity. But Krax had underestimated human persistence. With a final desperate lunge, Justin drove his combat blade into the Zorgon's throat, a spray of viscous blood decorating the deck. The humans had seized Krax's ship. As Justin staggered to the command console and began transmitting orders to the Zorgon fleet, the enemy's assault faltered. They could still snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Then Vega burst onto the bridge, his face ashen. "Cox, we have a problem." "Cox, we have a problem," Vega said, his face tight with concern. "The Council's not happy about this little stunt of yours." Justin wiped Zorgon blood from his face, surveying the carnage on the bridge. "They can shove their happiness up their—" "I'm serious," Vega cut him off. "There's already talk of an investigation, war crimes, violations of galactic law." Justin snorted. "We just saved millions of lives. What more do they want?" "They want control," Vega replied, "and you've shown them how little they actually have." In the days that followed, Justin found himself thrust into an uncomfortable spotlight. Humans on New Terra and beyond hailed him as a hero, but he could feel the icy stares of Council representatives whenever he walked the halls of the Galactic hub. One day, as Justin sat in a dingy bar on the outskirts of New Terra's capital, a tall, willowy Arcturian slid into the seat across from him. "Justin Cox," the alien said, voice dripping with disdain. "I am Xyloth. Perhaps you've heard of me?" Justin's hand instinctively moved toward his sidearm. "Can't say that I have." Xyloth's lipless mouth twisted into something resembling a smirk. "No matter. I'm here to inform you that the Council has authorized a full investigation into your actions during the Zorgon invasion. High Inquisitor Vega will be leading the inquiry." Justin's blood ran cold. "Vega? His ally? On what grounds?" "We have concerns about your methods," Xyloth replied. "Humanity's growing influence threatens the delicate balance we've maintained for millennia. It's time you learned your place." As Xyloth left, Justin's mind raced. He needed to find Vega to understand what was really going on. It took days of dodging Council security and calling in favors, but Justin finally managed to arrange a clandestine meeting with Vega in the bowels of an abandoned space station. "I didn't want this assignment," Vega said as soon as Justin entered the room. "But something's not right. The more I dig, the more inconsistencies I find." "What do you mean?" Justin asked. Vega pulled out a data pad, fingers flying across the screen. "Look at these troop movements, supply manifests. The Zorgons shouldn't have been able to launch an attack of that scale without outside help." Justin leaned in, studying the information. "You think someone on the Council was involved?" Vega nodded grimly. "I think this goes deeper than we imagined. We need to work together to uncover the truth." And so began a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Justin and Vega, once adversaries, now unlikely allies, pieced together a conspiracy that threatened to tear the galaxy apart. They discovered hidden comm channels, traced illicit weapon shipments, and uncovered a web of corruption that led straight to Xyloth and his cabal. Late one night, as they pored over stolen data in a safe house on a backwater moon, Justin sat back, running a hand through his hair. "They're trying to start a war," he said. "A big one, using us as the scapegoat." Vega nodded. "The question is, how do we stop them?" Their answer came in the form of a heavily encrypted transmission. A major council summit was scheduled in 3 days' time. Xyloth and his allies planned to stage an attack using human weapons, giving them the excuse they needed to launch a full-scale assault on Earth and its colonies. "We have to stop them," Justin said, already reaching for his gear. Vega grabbed his arm. It's a suicide mission. We'll be walking right into their trap. Justin met his gaze, steel in his eyes. Then we better not fail. The next 3 days were a blur of frantic preparation, desperate calls to sympathetic council members, and heart-pounding close calls as they made their way to the summit location. As they approached the imposing council chambers, alarms blared. They'd been made. "Showtime," Justin muttered, drawing his weapon. What followed was chaos. Blaster fire filled the air as Justin and Vega fought their way through Xyloth's security forces. They burst into the main chamber, just as Xyloth was about to detonate the human-made explosives. "Stop!" Justin shouted, his voice cutting through the pandemonium. "We have proof of your treachery!" Xyloth sneered, finger hovering over the detonator. "You're too late, human. Your time is over." Just then, the chamber doors burst open. A flood of alien representatives and their security forces poured in, weapons raised. Justin recognized faces from a dozen worlds, beings he and Vega had contacted in secret, sharing their evidence of the conspiracy. "Stand down, Xyloth," a gravelly voice boomed. It was the Krex ambassador, his carapace gleaming in the chamber's light. "Your lies end here." Xyloth's eyes darted wildly, searching for an escape. Finding none, he lunged for the detonator. Justin didn't hesitate. He fired the blast, catching Xyloth square in the chest. The Arcturian crumpled, the detonator clattering harmlessly to the floor. In the stunned silence that followed, Justin looked around the room, meeting the eyes of council members from across the galaxy. "I think," he said quietly, "we have a lot to discuss." Justin Cox stood before the Galactic Council, his eyes sharp as he surveyed the assembled alien representatives. The chamber buzzed with tension and whispered arguments. "The Xyrillians pose a clear and present danger," Justin declared, his voice carrying across the hall. "We must act now before more worlds fall." A Thraxian counselor slammed a tentacle on the table. "And risk all-out war? Madness." "The humans would have us charge headlong into conflict," sneered a vexed diplomat. "How convenient." Justin bit back a frustrated retort. Months of political maneuvering, and still the council dithered. He caught Vega's eye across the chamber. The Arcturian gave a subtle nod. Later, in a shadowy corner of a dingy spaceport bar, Justin slid into a booth across from Vega. "This isn't working," Justin muttered. While we argued, the Xyrillians gained ground. Vega leaned in close. "I may have a solution. Off the books, of course." Justin raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening." Days later, Justin crouched in the cargo hold of a rickety freighter, surrounded by a motley crew of human and Arcturian operatives. They'd slipped past Xyrillian patrols to land on Outpost Zeta 9, a strategic fuel depot. "Remember," Justin whispered, "we're here for intel, not a firefight." The team moved swiftly through maintenance tunnels, dodging Xyrillian sentries. In the central control room, Justin's fingers flew across alien consoles, downloading critical data on troop movements and supply lines. Alarms blared. "Time to go," Vega shouted. They sprinted for the extraction point, Xyrillian energy bolts sizzling past. Justin dove into the waiting shuttle, clutching the precious data module to his chest. Back on New Terra, Justin and Vega pored over the stolen intelligence. Justin's blood ran cold as the pieces fell into place. "Quantium," he breathed. "If the Xyrillians weaponize this—" Vega nodded grimly. "And they've got one of your own helping them, Dr. Eliza Foster." Justin's mind raced. He remembered Foster, brilliant, ambitious, and deeply resentful of humanity's place in the galactic pecking order. "We need to move fast," Justin said. "Can your strike team handle a research facility infiltration?" Vega grinned. "Just try to keep up, human." The Xyrillian research base loomed before them, a fortress of twisted metal and pulsing energy fields. Justin led a small infiltration team while Vega's forces created a diversion. They fought their way through automated defenses and Xyrillian guards. In the heart of the facility, they found Foster hunched over a swirling vortex of quantium energy. "Eliza!" Justin called out. "Stop this madness!" Foster whirled, her eyes wild. Madness? This is our chance to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. Not like this, Justin pleaded. Come back with us. We can fix this. For a moment, Foster hesitated. Then alarms blared. Vega's team was falling back. We're out of time, Justin shouted. In a blur of action, they subdued Foster and grabbed what quantum samples they could carry. They barely made it to the extraction point as Xyrillian reinforcements swarmed the facility. Their victory was short-lived. Within hours, reports flooded in of massive Xyrillian assaults across multiple sectors. New Terra itself was under siege. In the war room, Justin faced a sea of grim faces, human, Arcturian, and a handful of other allied species. The Council's official forces are spread too thin, an admiral reported. We're on our own. Justin took a deep breath. Then we do what humans do best. We improvise, we adapt, and we fight like hell. As the makeshift fleet prepared for battle, Justin knew the real test was yet to come. Not just against the Xyrillians, but in proving to the galaxy that humanity could be trusted with the fate of worlds. The acrid stench of burning circuits and melted metal filled Justin's nostrils as he surveyed the devastation around him. Crumbling structures and twisted wreckage stretched as far as the eye could see. The Xyrillian assault had left New Terra and countless other worlds in ruins. In the makeshift war room, hastily assembled from the remnants of a shattered command center, Justin pored over holographic displays showing the grim aftermath of the attack. Vega stood beside him, the Arcturian's normally composed features etched with fatigue and worry. We can't keep this up, Justin muttered, swiping through damage reports. The Council's forces are spread too thin. We need a game changer. As if on cue, the door burst open. Dr. Eliza Foster stumbled in, her lab coat singed and her eyes wild. Justin! Vega! I found something! Justin's hand instinctively moved to his sidearm. Foster, what are you doing here? The scientist held up her hands. I know, I betrayed you. But please, you have to listen. The quantium samples you captured, they're the key to defeating the Xyrillians. Vega's eyes narrowed. Explain quickly. Foster's fingers flew across a datapad as she spoke. The quantium technology, it's not stable. Prolonged exposure causes catastrophic overloads. Look at these readings. Justin studied the data, his eyes widening. This could change everything. We could use this to cripple their entire war machine. The next hours were a flurry of activity as Justin and Vega formulated their audacious plan. They would use the captured quantium to trigger a series of strategic meltdowns throughout Zathrok's empire. We need more quantium, Vega pointed out. A lot more. Justin nodded grimly. I know just where to get it. Assemble a strike team. We're hitting a Xyrillian supply depot. Days later, Justin crouched behind a twisted hunk of alien metal, his breath fogging the faceplate of his stealth suit. Around him, human, Arcturian, and other allied special forces waited in tense silence. The Xyrillian depot loomed before them, a fortress of sharp angles and pulsing energy fields. On my mark, Justin whispered into his comm. 3, 2, 1, go! They surged forward, energy weapons spitting silent death. Xyrillian guards fell before they could raise the alarm, but soon alarms blared across the complex. The air filled with the sizzle of energy bolts and the screams of the wounded. Justin vaulted over a barricade, his boots skidding on the smooth alien floor. He spotted the telltale glow of quantium storage pods ahead. There, cover me! As his team laid down suppressing fire, Justin sprinted for the pods. His fingers flew across the alien control panel, initiating the extraction sequence. A hiss of escaping gas, and the precious quantium was theirs. But victory came at a terrible cost. As they fought their way back to the extraction point, Justin watched in horror as Allied soldiers fell. Among the captured was Krell, Vega's trusted second-in-command. Back on their stealth ship, Justin met Vega's eyes. No words were needed. They both knew what had to be done. I'll take a team and start the meltdowns, Vega said. You get our people back. Justin nodded, already planning his next move. I'm coming for you, Krell, he muttered. Hold on. The Xyrillian prison complex was a nightmare of twisting corridors and impenetrable force fields. Justin moved like a ghost, disabling security systems and taking down guards with brutal efficiency. Each step brought him closer to his captured comrades and to Zathrock himself. As he rounded a corner, Justin came face to face with the Xyrillian leader. Zathrock loomed over him, mandibles clicking in anticipation. "Cox," the alien hissed, "I've been waiting for you." Justin raised his weapon. "It ends here, Zathrock." What followed was a whirlwind of violence. Justin ducked and weaved, his human reflexes barely keeping him ahead of Zathrock's devastating blows. Energy bolts scorched the walls as they fought, neither willing to give ground. With a desperate lunge, Justin managed to activate the cell controls. Krell and the other prisoners spilled out, joining the fray. In the chaos, Zathrock slipped away, but not before fixing Justin with a baleful glare. "This isn't over, human," the Xyrillian leader snarled. "You and your entire species will pay for this interference." As Justin led the freed prisoners to safety, his calm crackled to life. Vega's voice came through, tight with exertion but tinged with triumph. "Cox, it's done. The quantium meltdowns are spreading. The Xyrillian war machine is crumbling." In the days that followed, the tide of war shifted dramatically. With their power sources destabilized and production facilities in chaos, the Xyrillians were forced into a full retreat. The Council and its allies seized the opportunity, pushing the invaders back to their home territory. Justin stood on the bridge of a reclaimed Xyrillian warship, watching as Allied forces liberated world after world. Vega approached, a rare smile on his face. "We did it, Cox," the Arcturian said. "Humanity has proven itself once again." Justin nodded, but a shadow of unease crossed his features. "Yeah, but at what cost? And what's next? Zathrock is still out there, and I've got a feeling he's not our only problem." As if in answer to his words, a junior officer hurried up, his face pale. "Sirs, we're picking up strange readings from the Galactic fringe. Something big is stirring out there." Justin and Vega exchanged worried glances. Their victory was real, but it seemed the next challenge was already looming on the horizon. The starship Nebula Seeker drifted silently through the swirling gases of the Zrinx Nebula, its stealth systems engaged to evade detection. On the bridge, Vega stood motionless, his Arcturian eyes fixed on the sensor readouts. "Contact," he announced. "Dead ahead." The crew tensed as a massive shape emerged from the colorful clouds. It was an alien vessel, easily twice the size of the Nebula Seeker, but it hung lifeless in space. "No power signatures," reported the sensor officer. "It's completely inert." Vega nodded. "Prepare a boarding team, full quarantine protocols." Minutes later, Vega led a group of heavily armed operatives through the airlock and into the derelict ship. The beams of their helmet lights cut through the darkness, revealing twisted corridors and strange, alien architecture. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the crackle of their comms and the sound of their own breathing. As they pushed deeper into the vessel, a sickly, sweet odor began to permeate the air. They found the first body in what appeared to be the ship's control center. It was sprawled across a console, its flesh torn and mangled beyond recognition. Vega's stomach churned at the sight. "Fan out," he ordered. "Search for survivors." But there were no survivors. In chamber after chamber, they found only carnage. Bodies ripped apart, viscera splattered across walls and floors. Whatever had done this was no mere act of violence. It was pure, unadulterated savagery. "Sir," called one of the operatives, "I found something." In a small alcove nestled among the bodies sat a strange object. It was roughly spherical, about the size of a human fist, and seemed to pulse with an inner light. As Vega approached, he felt a chill run down his spine. "Bag it," he said. "We're getting out of here." Back on New Terra, Justin stared at the artifact, now safely contained behind a force field. Scientists and historians bustled around them, arguing in hushed tones. "What do we know?" Justin asked. An elderly Thraxian scholar stepped forward, his tentacles twitching nervously. The markings are unmistakable. This is Virkari in origin. Justin's blood ran cold. He'd heard the legends, of course. Every child in the galaxy grew up on tales of the cataclysmic wars and the dark beings that had nearly consumed all of creation. That's impossible, Vega said. The Virkari were destroyed eons ago. Imprisoned, corrected the scholar, in a realm beyond our own. But if this artifact is here, then they might be free, Justin finished. As if to confirm their worst fears, a junior communications officer burst into the room. Sirs, we've intercepted a transmission from the Xyrillian Empire. It's encrypted, but it mentions Zathrock, and something about a deal with a powerful entity. Justin and Vega exchanged grim looks. The pieces were falling into place, and the picture they formed was terrifying. We need to act, Justin said, now. In the war room, Justin laid out his plan to the assembled team. Maps and holographic projections flickered around them, showing the treacherous region known as the Vrock Abyss. If the Virkari have escaped, this is where they'll emerge, Justin explained. We need to get there first and seal the rift. Vega nodded. I've assembled a team, the best warriors, scientists, and engineers from across the Alliance. Good, Justin said, because we're going to need every advantage we can get. Days later, their ship, the Starhammer, plunged into the swirling chaos of the Vrock Abyss. Reality itself seemed to warp and twist around them. Strange energies buffeted the hull, and monstrous shapes lurked just at the edge of perception. Holding steady, reported the pilot, her fingers tightening on the controls. Justin gripped the arms of his chair as the ship shuddered violently. Keep pushing forward. We can't turn back now. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. On the monitor, a massive shape materialized, sleek, predatory, and unmistakably Xyrillian in design. Incoming transmission, called the comms officer. The face that appeared on the screen was Xyrillian, but there was something different about it. The being's eyes held a haunted look, and its mandibles twitched with nervous energy. Humans, it said. We mean you no harm. We've broken away from Zathrock's madness. Please, we need your help. Justin studied the alien's face, weighing his options. Everything in him screamed that this was a trap, but... Let them dock, he said finally. But keep weapons hot. If this is a trick, we'll be ready. As the renegade Xyrillians came aboard, Justin couldn't shake the feeling that they were hurtling towards a confrontation that would decide the fate of the entire galaxy. And somewhere out there, Zathrock was preparing to unleash a power beyond imagination. The Starhammer's engines roared as it plunged through the atmosphere of the uncharted world. Justin gripped the command chair, his eyes fixed on the looming silhouette of Zathrock's temple. All units prepare for immediate engagement, he barked into the comm. Remember, we hit hard and fast, no hesitation. The ship shuddered as it touched down. Hatches flew open, and a tide of human and Xyrillian soldiers poured out onto the alien landscape. The air crackled with weapons fire as Zathrock's loyalists emerged from hidden bunkers. Justin ducked behind a twisted rock formation, plasma bolts sizzling past his head. He fired back, his rifle spitting death at the advancing Xyrillians. Beside him, a renegade Xyrillian named Krazeth bellowed a war cry and charged forward, energy blade flashing. They fought their way across the blasted terrain, inching closer to the temple's outer defenses. Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet began to writhe and pulse. Justin watched in horror as soldier after soldier was dragged screaming into the earth. "It's the Virkari," Krazeth shouted. "They twist reality itself." Justin gritted his teeth and pressed on. They couldn't stop now, not when they were so close. The temple loomed before them, a nightmarish construct of angles that hurt the eye to look at. With a final push, they breached the outer defenses. Justin led his strike team deeper into the temple, the walls pulsing with sickly light. They burst into a vast chamber and froze. Zathrock stood at the center of an intricate pattern carved into the floor. Dark energies swirled around him, and his eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. You're too late, human, Zathrock hissed. The power of the Virkari is mine to command. Justin raised his weapon, but hesitated. Something was off. The energies around Zathrock seemed to flicker and waver, as if not fully under his control. Wait, Justin said, lowering his rifle. Zathrock, what have you done? The Xyrillian leader laughed, a sound tinged with madness. I've made a pact with beings beyond your comprehension. They will give me the power to avenge my people. Justin's mind reeled. Your people? What are you talking about? Zathrock's eyes flashed with rage and pain. The Council destroyed my homeworld, Cox. Centuries ago, they labeled us a threat and wiped us out. But they were wrong. It was all a misunderstanding. And now I will have my revenge. Justin took a step forward, his hands raised. Zathrock, listen to me. We can fix this. The Council can make amends. You don't need to do this. For a moment, doubt flickered in Zathrock's eyes. Then his face hardened. No, it's too late for words, human. Witness the power of the Virkari. Zathrock hit his fist onto the ground. The air split open with a deafening crack, and through the rift, Justin glimpsed a realm of madness and horror. Vega now! Justin shouted. The Arcturian and the renegade Xyrillians sprang into action. They threw themselves at the rift, their bodies glowing with strange energies. The tear in reality wavered and began to close. Justin turned to run, but caught sight of Vega's face. His friend's eyes met his, filled with grim acceptance. Go! Vega shouted. We'll hold it back as long as we can. Justin's feet carried him forward even as his heart screamed to go back. The temple shook and crumbled around him as he ran. He burst out into the open air just as the structure collapsed in on itself. Hours later, aboard the battered remains of the Alliance fleet, Justin stared out at the stars. The loss of Vega greatly troubled on him, but he knew they couldn't stop now. Sir, a young officer approached. We've analyzed the data from the temple. It seems the Virkari have vulnerabilities, but the information is fragmented, scattered across the galaxy. Justin nodded, his fists tight. Then we'll find those fragments. Assemble teams. We're going after every last piece of lore we can find. Days blurred into weeks as Justin coordinated missions across the stars. He sent teams to crumbling ruins on dead worlds, to isolated monasteries guarding ancient secrets, and into the heart of reality-bending anomalies. But the most crucial fragment he knew lay in the heart of Xyrillian territory, and that's where Justin himself would go. The Xyrillian stronghold loomed before him, a fortress of twisting metal and pulsing energy fields. Justin led his strike team through winding corridors, fighting off waves of loyalist forces. They burst into a vast chamber, and there stood Zathrock. But the Xyrillian leader had changed. Dark energies crackled around him, and his eyes blazed with otherworldly power. I warned you, Cox. Zathrock's voice echoed unnaturally. Now witness true power. Justin raised his weapon, knowing that the fate of the stars hung in the balance. Justin raised his weapon, but the sight before him made his blood run cold. Zathrock stood there, his form twisted and warped beyond recognition. Dark energies crackled around him, arcing between his limbs and distorting the air itself. You cannot stop what has begun, Cox, Zathrock's voice boomed, echoing with an otherworldly resonance. Justin dove for cover as a blast of energy tore through the space he'd occupied moments before. The floor beneath him buckled and writhed, transforming into a mass of thrashing tentacles. He scrambled to his feet, firing his weapon at Zathrock. The energy bolts dissipated harmlessly against a shimmering barrier. Outside, the battle raged. Human soldiers fought with desperate courage against the Virkari-empowered Xyrillians. The sky above the stronghold churned with unnatural energies, raining down bolts of chaotic power that reshaped entire city blocks into nightmarish landscapes. Alpha Team, push forward! Justin barked into his comms. We need to breach the inner defenses. He watched in horror as twisted creatures emerged from rifts in reality, their forms defying comprehension. His soldiers battled these new threats with steadfast perseverance, but the cost was high. As Justin fought his way deeper into the stronghold, a realization struck him. The fragment he sought, it had to be in the central power core. He called up a schematic on his wrist computer, plotting a course through the chaos. "All units, this is Cox," he transmitted. "I need everything you've got. Buy me time to reach the core." Wave after wave of human forces hurled themselves at the Xyrillian defenses. Justin used the distraction to slip past, fighting through pockets of resistance. He reached the entrance to the inner sanctum, his uniform torn and bloodied. The core chamber was a maelstrom of energy. Justin battled his way through Virkari horrors and Xyrillian guardians, his movements fueled by desperation. He reached the central platform, spotting the fragment pulsing with otherworldly light. As his fingers closed around it, a scream of rage filled the chamber. Zathrock materialized before him, eyes blazing with cosmic fire. Before Justin could react, a torrent of dark energy slammed into him. He felt bones shatter, organs rupture. The pain was beyond anything he'd ever experienced. Collapsing to the ground, Justin clutched the fragment. Through the haze of agony, he realized its true purpose. With the last of his strength, he activated it. The world exploded around him. The stronghold imploded, reality itself tearing apart. A vortex formed, swallowing everything in its path. Justin felt himself being pulled in, his consciousness fading. Then, impossibly, a familiar figure emerged from the maelstrom. Vega stood before him, transformed by cosmic energies. His old friend's eyes met his for a brief moment, before turning to face Zathrock. The two titans clashed, wielding powers beyond mortal comprehension. Justin watched through dimming vision as Vega channeled the full might of the rift, banishing Zathrock to the void. With a final titanic effort, Vega sealed the rift, collapsing to the ground. Silence fell. The shockwave of the implosion rolled across the planet, leaving only ruins in its wake. Scattered groups of survivors, human and allied forces alike, emerged to survey the devastation. Among the wreckage, a figure stirred. Justin Cox, battered and broken, clung to life through sheer force of will. The fragment's power coursed through him, healing his wounds but leaving him forever changed. He staggered to his feet, cosmic energies crackling at his fingertips, a final gift and a terrible burden. Justin Cox stood amidst the ruins of the Xyrillian stronghold, cosmic energies crackling at his fingertips. The air reeked of ozone and burnt metal. Around him, human and alien allies tended to the wounded, their faces etched with exhaustion and disbelief at the devastation surrounding them. A young officer approached, her uniform torn and stained with alien blood. "Commander Cox, sir, we've got a situation." Justin turned, his eyes glowing with residual energy. "Report." "Our fleet's scattered, sir. The shockwave from the implosion threw our ships across half the sector. We're sitting ducks if the Xyrillians regroup." Justin's eyes hardened. "How bad?" The officer's voice trembled. "Long-range scans show a massive Xyrillian armada mobilizing. They'll be here in hours." Justin surveyed the battered remnants of his forces. They couldn't withstand another assault. Not like this. He closed his eyes, feeling the cosmic power surging through his veins. An idea formed, desperate and dangerous. "Gather every scientist and engineer we've got left," he ordered. "And I need our top tacticians, now." Minutes later, Justin addressed a ragged group of humans and aliens. "We're opening a wormhole. It's our only shot at getting out of here alive." Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the crowd. A Centaurian scientist stepped forward, his tentacles writhing nervously. "Commander, with all due respect, that's impossible. The energy requirements alone." Justin raised a hand, allowing a tendril of cosmic energy to dance between his fingers. "Not impossible. Not anymore." He laid out his plan, watching comprehension dawn on their faces. It was insane, but it just might work. For hours, they labored. Justin stood at the center of a hastily constructed array of equipment, channeling raw cosmic energy into delicate instruments. Scientists called out readings, making constant adjustments. Suddenly alarms blared. A human lieutenant burst into the command center. "Sir, we've got incoming. It's the Xyrillian renegades." Justin cursed. He'd known some of their former allies still distrusted them, but this? The first explosion rocked the compound. Justin heard the chatter of weapons fire, screams of pain and fury. "Keep working," he shouted to the science team. "We can't stop now." He raced toward the sound of battle, cosmic energy surging. As he rounded a corner, a Xyrillian warrior charged him, energy blade humming. Justin dodged, retaliating with a blast of power that sent the alien flying. More renegades poured in. Justin fought desperately, but they seemed endless. A stun blast caught him in the back, sending him sprawling. As consciousness faded, he heard a Xyrillian voice. "Secure the human. His power will be ours." Justin awoke in darkness, his head pounding. He tested his bonds, energy shackles impervious to his weakened state. Around him he heard the muffled sobs of his captured team members. He closed his eyes, focusing inward. The cosmic energy still flowed, but it felt wrong, corrupted. It whispered of power, of vengeance. Justin gritted his teeth, fighting the urge to give in. A plan formed, risky, but their only hope. He reached out with his mind, feeling for the familiar energy signatures of his allies. There, a flicker of recognition. Using every ounce of willpower, Justin sent a pulse of energy through the shackles. They shorted out with a hiss. He moved swiftly, freeing the others. "Stay close," he whispered, "and whatever happens, don't stop running." They fought their way through twisting corridors, Justin unleashing bursts of cosmic energy to clear their path. Finally, they emerged into the open air. Allied soldiers cheered at their return. Justin wasted no time. "The wormhole, now!" They scrambled to their positions. Justin took his place at the center of the array, channeling every bit of power he could muster. The air crackled and warped. A terrible screech split the air. The renegade Xyrillian leader stood atop a ruined building, energy swirling around him. "You will not escape us, human!" The alien hurled a bolt of chaotic energy directly at the wormhole apparatus. Justin threw himself into its path, deflecting it with a shield of cosmic force. The effort nearly brought him to his knees. "Go!" he shouted to his allies. "Get through the wormhole!" As the last of his forces raced through the shimmering portal, Justin faced the Xyrillian leader. Their energies clashed in a blinding display of power. With a final, titanic effort, Justin overpowered his foe. He staggered toward the wormhole, every step agony. Behind him, he heard the ominous rumble of the approaching Xyrillian armada. Justin hurled himself through the portal just as it began to collapse. He tumbled onto cool grass, gasping for breath. Around him, his battered forces regrouped on the outskirts of Alliance space. As the adrenaline faded, Justin stared at his hands. The cosmic energy still coursed through him, a constant reminder of all they'd endured, and all that was yet to come. The wormhole spat them out into a sea of stars. Justin staggered, his legs unsteady on the bridge of his command ship. Around him, his battered crew struggled to their stations, faces etched with exhaustion and relief. "Status report," Justin barked, steadying himself against a console. A young officer's voice crackled over the comms. "Sir, we've emerged on the fringes of Alliance space. Long-range scans show—" My God! Justin's eyes widened as the view screen flickered to life. A vast armada of Alliance ships stretched before them, weapons primed and ready. "They were expecting us," Justin breathed. Before he could savor their apparent salvation, alarms blared across the bridge. The sensor officer's face drained of color. "Commander, the wormhole, it's destabilizing." Justin spun to face the view screen. The portal they'd just exited writhed and pulsed with sickly energy. A familiar figure materialized within its chaotic maw, the renegade Xyrillian leader, his form twisted by dark power. "No, Justin whispered. The wormhole collapsed in on itself, then exploded outward. A rift tore through space-time, disgorging nightmarish entities that defied description. Virkari horrors poured forth, their otherworldly forms sending waves of revulsion through Justin's crew. "Evasive maneuvers!" Justin roared, but it was too late. The Virkari swarmed over nearby ships. Justin watched in horror as living metal consumed Alliance vessels, warping them into monstrous hybrids of flesh and machine. "Sir!" A panicked voice cut through the chaos. "Our troops, they're changing!" Justin's gaze snapped to a nearby monitor. The feed showed a security camera view of the ship's lower decks. His soldiers writhed in agony, their bodies twisting into grotesque new forms. Tentacles erupted from human flesh. Alien allies melted and reformed into abominations. Justin felt the cosmic energy within him surge, creating a protective barrier. He alone remained unchanged, the power that once saved him now isolating him from his own people. "Commander Cox!" An Alliance admiral's face appeared on the main view screen. "Your fleet is compromised. We can't allow the Virkari contagion to spread. You must..." Static consumed the transmission as another wave of Virkari constructs smashed into the Alliance lines. Justin's mind raced, weighing impossible options. Retreat meant doom for countless worlds. To stand and fight seemed equally hopeless. He closed his eyes, feeling the cosmic energy pulse through his veins. In that moment, Justin knew what he had to do. "All hands," he said, his voice steady. "Prepare to evacuate. I'm going in." His second-in-command, Elena, grabbed his arm. "Justin, no! You can't!" He met her gaze, seeing the fear and understanding in her eyes. "It's the only way." Justin strode to the airlock, cosmic energy crackling around him. He took one last look at his crew, his family. "It's been an honor," he said simply. Then he was gone, propelling himself towards the heart of the rift. As he plunged into that swirling maelstrom of chaos, Justin felt his body begin to come apart. He poured every ounce of his being, every scrap of cosmic power, into forging a barrier between realities. His consciousness splintered. Justin saw flashes of other worlds, other possibilities. Planets consumed by Virkari corruption. Humanity enslaved or extinct. Darkness reigning supreme across all of creation. But through it all, one truth remained. The human spirit, his spirit, would not yield. As his physical form disintegrated, Justin's very essence became the wall holding back the tide of cosmic horror. His last coherent thought was a silent promise to the galaxy he'd sworn to protect. "I will endure. I will stand guard. I will keep you safe." And then Justin Cox was gone, his consciousness scattered to the cosmic winds. But his sacrifice would echo across space and time, a testament to humanity's defiance in the face of oblivion.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.